Okay, let's do it.
Hello, Inspired Podcast community. This is Caroline with a new episode and a new interview partner. I'm honored and I have the pleasure to present John Corbellini to you, to all of you. And how did we meet? I met John in the Napoleon Hill Institute first this year, and we met in person in New York, but also in Colorado Springs because we were in a book project together, Circle of the One. We shared a chapter in that book. It is, thank you for showing us now the YouTube, um, um, I don't know the word, the people watching us on YouTube are seeing the book cover. Thank you.
You're
Circle of
welcome.
the One, please buy this book. It has healing stories. Yes, we met twice this year, and I'm so honored to see you again in Zoom. And please introduce yourself to the audience now.
Hi, Caroline. My name's John Corbellini. I am the owner and founder of Inner Visions Coaching, and I absolutely love what I do. I spent 28 years in corporate America, and I was miserable. And I finally got to the point where I had to make a change. And then I ended up, I got divorced first. And then I ended up leaving corporate America, and everything just completely changed in my life. It was a coach who helped me put my life back together again, and that's what inspired me to become a coach and help others put their lives back together again. I really work with divorcees mostly. It's not exclusive, but mostly with divorcees because their identity has been altered. Let's just put it that way. Um, and they need help. They're not really sure. They see that blank page in front of them, like I did, and there was nothing on it. There was no future on it. But it was a coach who taught me that I could put any future I want on that blank page. I can do anything I want now. And she helped me turn my life around, and she inspired me to become a coach. And through a series of um, divine intervention, I ended up meeting Dolly, who is a mutual friend of ours, a coach as well. And she started the book project called Circle of the One. And Circle of the One really it's 33 authors who have written healing stories, but it's also a very spiritual book. It really is a very spiritual book. There's not one story in that book that doesn't talk about how the spiritual side of them helped pull them through. And it's just an amazing book, and I highly recommend it, not just because I'm one of the authors, but because I'm also one of the readers. I didn't write every chapter in this book. I only wrote one. And there's 32 other stories, total of 33 stories in this book that are just truly spectacular to read. They will grab you in an emotional way. You will relate when you read these stories.
Yeah, that's so true, John. And I remember when we were together in that writing process, because it is a process of several months,
Yeah,
and we had weekly sessions with experts, so to say, experts that helped us to become more creative or to work on our stories. And I remember you were one of the first, I think you were the first reading out loud your story. And this was so impressive for me because I was not finished with my story, and I could look up to you and learn something
I'll
and be
thank you for that.
inspired. Yeah, I never told you that. I never told you. It was the Yeah, I know. It was not a hard, yeah, maybe a hard time for me at that time. I was not sharing so much about my feelings, but now we can speak about it. Yes.
Yeah,
And the Circle of the One project comes also with oracle cards. And we
yes,
have to mention that there are also open spaces for book 2 and book 3. It's a
correct.
trilogy. And yeah, you can reach out to us if you like to Caroline or John or Dolly. Dolly will be in a later interview. I'm
Nice.
honored to have her in 2 days or
Very.
today in 3 days. But you will see this. And my first question or my next question is, what inspires you?
I can honestly say that I get very inspired when I see people helping other people out. And it doesn't have to be any big life-changing thing. Something as polite as holding a door open for someone, giving somebody a compliment. There's so much hurt and anger in this world right now that when you see anything that resembles beauty, peace, tolerance, understanding, empathy, compassion for somebody else, I know there's hope. I know that this world is going through a change right now, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but I do know that on the other side of this, I truly believe this. I don't know for a fact, but I truly believe in my heart. On the other side of what we're going through right now is going to be a beautiful, beautiful world. Um, and I get to help people all the time. Whether I'm reading for people who are struggling to read, helping kids through local churches and groups like that. Uh, and through my coaching and my podcast, I have a podcast called Inner Visions Podcast, and through my speaking engagements, where I can that's my favorite thing to do, is to be in front of a group of people and help inspire them and give them actual practical tools that they can walk away with, that can help them make sense out of some of the things that they're struggling with.
Oh, yes. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. That is a lot. And who inspires you?
A lot of people inspire me. My kids inspire me every day because they're just so curious about everything. And as we get older, we kind of forget what it's like to be a kid. But that's really part of the secret. Let yourself be a kid again. Be in awe, be in wonder of everything. Um, as far as influences, Tony Robbins was a huge influence on me. Cleona O'Hara, she is the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Institute, the monster influence on me. Dolly, Alessandra, that you're going to be talking to in a couple of days, is one of my closest, dearest friends. And I met her through a friend of ours, Kathy White, introduced me to Dolly and um, brought me into the Proctor Gallagher Institute, into PGI. And then Dolly moved over to Napoleon Hill Institute after Bob passed, and she took me with her, and I've been with her ever since. And yeah, Troy Chadwick, who is also vital to the success of the Circle of the One book, is a brilliant, brilliant man. So if you can get around him, for your listeners, for your audience, if you can get around Troy or Dolly, you can reach out to me or Caroline in the Napoleon Hill Institute if you really want to learn. Really, Think and Grow Rich is a book that was written in 1937. And that one book is singularly responsible for creating more millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires in the world. And it still applies today. There are still very, very ridiculously successful people out there who have a copy of that book on their desk. They're still using it because what he taught back then still works. And we get the pleasure of teaching that to people and showing them that it's really, you know what it is? There's so many people living from the outside in, allowing external circumstances or events to give them pleasure, happiness, and most of the time, a lot of the time it's pain and suffering. But when you learn how to live from the inside out and take back control of your heart, you take back control of what you think, how you think, why you think the way you do, and you understand all of this, things change almost immediately. It's amazing. It truly is amazing. It's going to totally transform my life.
That's true. And Bob Proctor also studied this book for over 60 years.
That's
Everything.
true.
Wow,
That's
this
true.
is amazing. So I want to know how you inspire others.
Well, through my podcast, a lot of the time it's through my podcast that I get to inspire other people. I've had a lot of people on my podcast. Uh, Dolly's been on there as an example. My podcast now is Inner Visions Coaching. It's Inner Visions Podcast. Maybe a year and a half ago, I had a different podcast with a friend of mine who lived in Switzerland, and that was called The Mentoring Men. And so I've been doing podcasts for a couple of years now. So I've kind of got the hang of this. And it's a great way to reach people. It's a great way to give a message, to share something that matters. I'm constantly doing Facebook posts. I'm writing. I'm working on another book right now. Actually, a friend of mine asked me to write a chapter in his book, and I've been working on that one. So, but that book, it's going to be called Getting Unhacked, because the truth is we're hacked. We've been hacked. Our belief systems have been hacked. The way we live our lives have been hacked by media, society in general. You pick your poison. But we've been hacked. And this is about how to get unhacked. This is about how to take back control of your mind. It's not so much take back control of your life. It's taking back control of your mind, because when you can do that, you will take back control of your life. You got to take back control of this thing.
Yes. Dear podcast community, the book we were talking about, the author is tomorrow in our podcast episode. In the next episode, you won't believe. Yes, I have them all, dear John. But today it's about you. And what are your gifts and talents to the world?
Well, having gone through a divorce, I lost my identity. I really truly did. I was a husband, a homeowner, a father, a full-time father. Now I'm not a husband. I'm divorced. I'm single. I'm living in an apartment. I see my kids on the weekends. The identity that I was left with after the divorce is not who I wanted to be. And I realized that I could not get where I wanted to be by myself. I needed help. Long story short, I found Tony Robbins, and he inspired me, and it's been an incredible journey. As far as I have a couple of different programs that are available to people. But what I really like to do is get to know an individual, get to know a person. What is it that really inspires you? What is it, if your life was absolutely everything you want it to be, what does that look like for you? I want to get to know you and spend the time with you to listen. I'm not going to do a lot of talking. There's a word, the word WAIT, WAIT, is an acronym for why am I talking?
Why am
So
I?
it's a tool that I learned when I was learning how to listen, because listening is a skill. We hear all the time, but we don't listen. We hear with our ears, but we listen with our hearts and our emotions. And when you learn how to listen, you're really reaching somebody on a very deep personal level, because they can tell that you're listening. And what that does is it gives you a security blanket, a safety net underneath you, that you feel safe. And I want you to feel safe when you work with me. That's paramount. It's absolutely paramount.
Oh.
So one of the things that we talk about in my coaching program is another acronym, is the word HOT, HOT. It stands for higher order thinking. And when we get to the end of working together, when that's over, I have a 12-week program right now that I really, really love working with people for the 12 weeks, because we can get into things. But you have learned how to think at a different level, higher order thinking, because that's what coaching gave to me. It taught me how to think differently. And when you think differently, you ask better questions and you get better answers and you can make better decisions. And guess what? The quality of your life improves so fast when you learn how to think differently. That's a big part of this.
Wow, this is really a gift. Be a good listener, create the space that someone feels safe. And the third thing was the hot the hot
Higher order thinking.
the
Higher
hot.
order thinking.
Yeah, I love that. I never heard this expression before, but I can absolutely understand what is meant by this. Yeah.
I was thinking recently, and I created a new word called envisionism. And envisionism is really, it's the ability to see or create new possibilities for your life.
Mhm.
We can all visualize things. We all can visualize, we can imagine what it feels like to have the finer things in life. But how are you going to do it? What can you create? What opportunity is right in front of you that you don't see right now because you're thinking at a certain level? And when you learn how to think at a different level, that's when envisionism kicks in. Because all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute. I just heard something. There's an opportunity there for me. And you can go talk to that person. And you wouldn't have even heard it otherwise. So when you learn how to think differently, you are automatically creating new opportunities for you. And it's a
It's
beautiful place to be.
a whole new world opens up
Yes, yes.
and a new identity.
That's exactly what it is. But you know what it really is? It's not that it's a new identity. Not so much that it's a new identity. It's the identity that was always within you that you never knew was there. You get to find out who you have truly always been. You just forgot. When you are a member of a club, okay, you're a member of a bowling league or you're a member of whatever club you belong to that club. But every human being on this planet, there's a spiritual part to us. We all belong to that spiritual club. But so many of us have forgotten that part of us, or they're afraid to look at that part of yourself. And when you come back to that spiritual part of you, that's when you have remembered. You've remembered. You've come home. That's who you truly are. That's where your blessings are. Don't be afraid of that spiritual part of you, because that's the most beautiful part of you. Every one of us has that deep, dark place inside ourselves where we hold our shame, our fear, our guilt, our resentment, and all of that other stuff. I'm not good enough. I'm too this, I'm too that. On the other side of that is the spiritual part of you that has all the answers to all the questions and can show you what to do because you will feel it. It's an energy. You've all had that moment where you just knew that this was the right thing to do, or you knew that something, no, I shouldn't do this, is a bad idea. That's that spiritual part of you talking to you. When you learn how to listen, remember I said we hear with our ears, but we listen with our heart. When you learn how to listen to that inner voice, that spiritual part of you, oh, everything changes. And I can teach you how to do that because I've been down that road. I was a time where I didn't even hear it, let alone know how to listen to it. Now I listen to it all the time. I've learned how, and the gift is that I get to teach it. That's the gift of grace, that I get to teach it to others. And I'd like to offer something to your listeners. If you go to innervisionscoaching.net, that's my website. I want to offer your listeners a 20% discount on my 12-week coaching program as a Christmas gift. It's the holiday season, and it's the time of giving. So I'd like to give each one of you who are listening and watching a 20% discount off my 12-week coaching program. When you go into my website and you go to sign up, there will be a link for a code. Use the word inspire to bring it back to Caroline. Give her a little love. And you got a 20% discount off of my 12-week coaching program. My gift to you.
Oh, that's so generous, John. I'm so happy that you mentioned this. And this is truly your gift to the world, to the community. And I want to add to what you said about community and the feeling of belonging, just real quick, because I had a conversation with my partner, Celeste. You know, we are doing our programs, our offers, our coachings together. And she said to me today, there's only one holy community. And I think these are her words for describing what you said about, yeah, what you said, we know the spiritual part in everyone and the connection that we feel with our
Yeah,
heart.
that's right. Because it's not about religion. It doesn't make a difference if you're Catholic, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, whatever religion you believe in that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the spiritual part of you. Because we're all, one God, many names. It doesn't matter what religion you believe in. We're all spiritual beings. And that's where we're going to go back to when we leave this earth. And if you want to learn how to get in touch with that part of you and make things happen for you here on this earth while you're here, innervisionscoaching.net.
And when you listen to this right now, to that point, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are listening or you are hearing this for a reason. And
Yes.
reach out to John, reach out to me. I will give you the contact details to John, and then start today. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much. I love you, my dear. It was great to see you back in Colorado Springs. We had so much fun. That was such an incredible retreat. And a million thanks to Dolly and Troy for pulling off what they pulled off. That was just magical. It truly was.
This was a gift as well. I feel
Yeah.
it was so much more than expected.
Yeah.
For me. There's imagined. I couldn't imagine this. So I'm forever grateful, and also that we met again. Of course, it was also not planned by me. It was it was guided. Yes, by it was not random, but it was guided, and it was not up to us. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline. It was a pleasure to see you again, love.
Thank you. Big hugs, and see you in the next episode.